Hi AP Econ students, Mr. Muller here, and in today's BLITZ video, we're going to be talking about the circular flow model, how resources are going to be passed between a product market and a resource market, which is how an economy functions, and the role that government plays in this model. Now, the reason why this is a BLITZ video is you're not going to get too many questions on the AP test about this, although you might generally have one or two. But you need to understand this in order to fully comprehend some of the concepts we're going to talk about later in the year. So you're not going to have to take notes on everything here. Really, you're only going to have to take notes on one or two slides. But again, do this process for annotations that I've suggested, and if you have any questions, we'll talk about them in class. Again, sorry you can't see my face. We're having technical issues, and once again, I do have to mention that these are not my slides. They are from ACDC Leadership. The person who runs this is a AP Econ reader and trainer. He has some awesome resources, and he did a better job explaining this in his slides than if I tried to make my own. So the credit for these slides goes to this person. I feel like I've given enough credit to this person and this person's slides. So moving on, here we go. So the circular flow model takes place between a product market and a resource market. So you're going to have to take notes on this slide. A product market is the place where goods and services produced by businesses are sold to households. So for most of you, a mall is the most frequent product market that you can think of. You go to the Apple Store, which is a place where the good of Apple iPhones and Mac computers and iTVs and iPods and whatever are bought by households. You also have a resource market, which is the place where resources, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship are sold to businesses. So I'm going to use the example of a law firm in this video. A resource market is the law firm where lawyers will go and will sell their expertise for money. And so we're going to talk about how resources are exchanged between these markets, what businesses give to households, what households give to businesses, and what role the government plays here. So this is going to be explained in a wonderful little graphic. So my suggestion is you actually draw this out yourself. You're going to get a lot more out of this by hand drawing this process and doing little extra notes than just trying to take a screenshot of this and print it out. So first, let's talk about the product market. In a product market like a mall, goods and services are sent to that mall. The Apple Store sends to their Apple Store or Best Buy or Smart Buy or whatever electronics store that Apple products are sold in now. They send all of their stuff to that product market, and individuals go to that product market and buy those goods and services. Now, in this case, individuals spend money at that product market to purchase that iPhone, that new computer, that iPod, and the business makes revenue. They make money because they charge a price for that particular good, people pay it, and the business makes money from that. That's how businesses work. If for some reason you didn't know that, I'm really concerned. All right, let's move on to the resource market. One more thing about the product market. In this case, businesses create the supply of a good, and individuals are the demand for that good. So the businesses supply the things that individuals demand. If no one wanted phones, Apple wouldn't be making phones. Now let's talk about a resource market. In a resource market, let's talk about a law firm. Individuals will go to college and will go to law school to get a law degree, and then they will apply to work at law firms, and that resource market is the actual building or office that lawyers work at. So individuals give their labor, their human capital, to that resource market, and it can be labor, or it can be the copiers in the law firm, or the computers in the law firm, or the file cabinets for all of the cases in the law firm. All of those factors of production go into the resource market, including the person starting this business. Now, the resource market gives those resources to businesses. So law firms go to the law office and they practice law, and they give that expertise to the law firm. The law firm advertises a particular service, legal service. And so because individuals give those factors of production to the resource market, those resources are able to be expounded upon in that business. Now, here's what happens. A business has costs for a resource market because the business has to pay for the computers in the law firm, for the lawyers in the law firm, for the copy machine in the law firm, for the free coffee every morning that Janice makes in the law firm. But the individuals make income because they have sold their factor of production like labor, or maybe you're a business that supplies copiers and you've supplied that copier to that law firm. You make income, you make money. And that's why people work. People work at a resource market and they make income, and businesses pay those people because without them, they could not sell the good or service that they have. So in this case, individuals supply the resources and businesses demand those individual factors of production. So in this case, a business will say, hey, we want to hire 5 new lawyers for the year, and people will apply to be a lawyer at that law firm, and the supply of lawyers comes from individuals. Now, let's talk about how the government works within this system. This is a typical free market system that you'll see, but the government also plays a role in the circular flow model. So, in terms of a product market, the government will sometimes buy things from product markets. Do you think the government makes all the military equipment they use? No, they buy tanks and jets and guns, typically from private businesses. They'll typically put out a notice saying, hey, this government wants to buy this. Does any private business want to make this for us? And so the government will buy certain things from a product market, and the government will give money to those private businesses for buying those goods. So in this case, the government acts like an individual in the product market, but the government can also be a resource market. People can work for the government. You know, everyone who works for state departments or the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Education, people who make policy, they work for the government. So in this case, the government is also a resource market, and it gives income to those people that work in the government when it's a resource market. Now, the government also has a relationship and a responsibility with businesses and individuals. The government has particular public goods that it allows businesses and individuals to take advantage of, like public education and public utilities and roads and social health care systems. For businesses, the government may say, hey, it is legal in our country for you to buy a piece of land and start this business. So there are public goods that are given to individuals and businesses. But in return, individuals pay taxes on some of their income to the government, and businesses will sometimes pay taxes to the government to run those businesses. So the government isn't just giving out those public goods for no reason. They're getting something from that. They're getting taxes. Now, the government will also sometimes help businesses or individuals if they see that either of those two entities are really struggling, that businesses can't have a tough time being successful, or that individuals are having a tough time being economically successful. The government will sometimes give subsidies to businesses. This happens a lot with farmers. The government will subsidize the cost to grow that food because if they didn't, the food would be too cheap and farmers wouldn't make any money, and so they wouldn't have farms, and so a country wouldn't have food. So a government gives subsidies to a lot of times farmers so that they can grow things in their country. What they'll do for individuals is they'll transfer payments. So a government will sometimes give stimulus bonuses. Well, they'll just say every person in this country will get a check for this much money. They'll have other social programs that are designed to help individuals be more successful. Sometimes that's tax breaks or tax credits. And this is how the government plays a role in the circular flow model. Woo! That's a lot. Hope you took a lot of notes on that. Now, we got one more slide here. You do not need to write this down. I did describe this a lot in the previous slide, but if you did not get any of that, just make some general notes here, but you don't have to copy this as I have suggested in our annotation video. So let's move on. Last thing, here's a little bit of a circular flow model review. Here are 4 questions, and I want you to think about them and think based on what you just learned about in the circular flow model, how would you answer these questions? So just take a second, pause this video, and look back over your notes and try to answer them. Okay, ready? Here are our answers. I'm not going to read them out because you are intelligent AP students and you can do that yourself. If you have questions about this, have them ready in class. We'll talk about them and we can answer those. Well, that's the circular flow model for you. Hope you learned something you didn't know before. Thanks for watching.